Chen Yuan-tung, Vice Chairman of the Mainland Affairs Council, speaking to our very own Emily Chan. Well, let's get more on this with Sean King, Vice President of Park Strategies, joining us on the line from Taipei. Sean, good to have you on the show. It certainly seems as if the market is cautiously optimistic about the outcome of this election. What about you?
Well, optimistic in the sense it's going to go smoothly, but it's probably too close to call right now who's going to win. For many months, Ma had a lead of about 20, 30 points in most opinion polls. But that lead was always pretty soft, and one expected it to dissipate as it got closer and closer to Election Day. And due to a number of missteps by Ma and some people in his party, not to mention the troubles in Tibet, some polls now have the race as tight as 3 to 5%. So it could be anybody's ballgame tomorrow. Okay,
so you say it's too close to call at this stage, but nonetheless, no matter who wins, is it fair to say that we're looking at closer ties with the mainland?
Yeah, we are, but it's a question of degree. Ma would move much more quickly and much more deeply, and those overtures would be much more likely to be reciprocated by the mainland. But if Frank Hsieh wins, he would move much more cautiously, especially in terms of Chinese investment into Taiwan and Chinese tourists. And even if he is willing to move as far as Ma is, in some cases, Beijing would be less likely to reciprocate those gestures for fear of legitimizing him in the DPP in Taiwan. Also, Hsieh has a deeply hostile base toward China within his party, so it's a question of how far he can move and how quickly. So both candidates offer a warmer relationship with Beijing than what we have, but if Ma gets in, it'll be much warmer than if Hsieh gets in.
Sure, I think it's no secret that the tourism, the airline stocks, the real estate stocks have been thriving on expectations of improved cross-strait relationships after the election. Are these trades looking a bit crowded to you now, or is there still room to the upside?
I think there's definitely room to the upside. Ma's really taken some hits the last few days. The major issue here the last few days has been Tibet. You know, the DPP has been able to effectively say, you know, Ma Ying-jeou is asking us to take a leap of faith in negotiating with China on equal terms for Taiwan's status and dignity in the future, yet this is how they treat people within their own borders. And Ma's star has dimmed a bit in the last few days. So I would expect the market to even cool down a bit today. So I think there's a lot of room to move in. And if Hsieh wins tomorrow, there'll probably be a limit-down sell-off on Monday. And if Ma wins tomorrow, stocks are going to go through the roof on Monday.
What would you move into?
If you think Ma's going to win, I would still try and get in today.
Get in on what, Sean?
Get
what
in
sectors?
On airlines, construction, retail, property, steel, chemicals, anything that has to do with construction, consumption, tourism, or cross-strait travel, and also any of the banks that have a significant operation in mainland China, of which 8 Taiwan banks, including Fubon Bank, have representative offices on the mainland.
Okay, so if we're looking at a rapprochement with the mainland, as you said, perhaps to varying degrees, how far away are we from talking about the one China policy?
If you're Frank Hsieh, you're nowhere near it. If you're Ma Ying-jeou, he's first of all said that even if he is elected, he will not meet Hu Jintao in his first term, and under no circumstances would he even discuss unification in both of his 2 terms. But what Ma Ying-jeou can do is people within his government can meet with people in Beijing under the 92 consensus, which was reached before Taiwan's democratization, which says both sides accept the one China policy, but each can have its own interpretation thereof. So Ma would have people from his government meet people in Beijing under the 92 consensus, which is kind of a fudge, but basically it says we all believe in one China, but it's open to interpretation what that means.
Sean, what implications are there, if any, for the Taiwanese dollar, for the local currency?
It'll go up. You know, it's gone up about 5% the last few months. It's been, in recent months, the second best performer in Asia outside Japan. There are speculative inflows here into Taiwan because of the election and the prospect of warmer relations with China. A lot of investment will come back to Taiwan, will come to Taiwan, including Chinese investment, tourism. A lot of people will move back here. I would expect the Taiwan dollar to rise as a result thereof, especially if Ma wins. It may dip in the short term if Hsieh wins, but over the longer term, he'll improve relations as well. So either way, over the long term, the Taiwan dollar is going to improve.
Sean, early on this week, we had Jim Rogers on the show, very, very enthusiastic about the prospects for Taiwan. He was saying that he's been buying exchange-traded funds tied to Taiwan. Is that a good strategy to get in?
I think it is, and I've read some stuff about Jim's buys yesterday, And that is a good way to go. Across the market, a broad-based exchange-traded fund is a good way to go. It covers you in technology, construction, airlines, retail. That's a very good way to go. Although technology, I will say, even though the technology firms stand to gain perhaps the most, because right now they can't supply their plants on the mainland directly, and also they're limited from investing more than 40% of their net worth on the mainland. Right now, they're probably more susceptible to a U.S. slowdown than anybody. So the benefits they get from opening to China will be muted, but in the long term will be there. But if I were anybody, I wouldn't be putting my money in any specific company or any specific stock. I would try to hit a broad basket that represents the best sectors in Taiwan. And tourism, retail, construction, anything to do with consumption or cross-strait travel.
Yeah, point taken. Just very quickly, I'm going to ask you if you can put a level on the Taiwan dollar, considering you said that it will rise. Do you have any targets for it?
I would say if Ma wins, within a few weeks, you could see it to 30 to the U.S. dollar.
Sean, always great to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. Sean King, Vice President of Park Securities. Well, just ahead, Morning Call is next on Squawk Box. We're going to bring you a preview of the trading day ahead in Greater China. That'll be in just a couple of minutes' time. Plus, if you're always rushing to beat the rush hour on your way to work, then we might actually have a fix for you. Think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We'll explain right here on Squawk Box.